Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show, Red River sponsors. All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live. Here with you on a Monday, a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Betting Weekly Studio is part of the Bet Rivers Network. Mike Carver with you along with Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. We have got Steelers and Texans, the final game of NFL wildcard weekend. Got a lot of NBA, a couple hockey games, a little good Monday night ahead of us here. Doug, happy Monday. How are you, buddy?
Wow, what a weekend in football, right? You know, it's just been crazy with college and then into the NFL. Every game so dramatic. Oh, and you don't want to lead with 2 minutes to go because you're 0-3 going into some late games yesterday.
Yeah, and you know what? We're going to get, obviously, to kick things off here into the opening line and things like that. But even deep, big picture, Doug, like that's what you want. Like you had those two games that come down to the end where up until the Pat Charger game last night, right? Didn't like every team that was losing with 2 minutes left, it had flipped in the final 2 minutes of the game. Like that is the stuff that the NFL and the suits who run the league and the television networks, they beg for stuff like this, Doug, and they got it.
It's the league of parity, to your point. Also, just this specific playoff field we discussed, it just felt more wide open than any other year. And division rounds will do that. We don't have the dominant top seeds, but still, we no longer have 2 seeds getting a bye either. So you're getting tight games 2 through 7. And 2 road favorites on Saturday. Even the double-digit one came down to the wire. Ultimately, the experienced quarterback, the proven, more reliable quarterback, there was no chance Trevor Lawrence or Bryce Young was going to lead a drive late. So, this is what we want. It's kind of like the ideal March Madness, right? You get these buzzer beaters, you get these crazy games, but we still get chalk. We still get the good teams. We don't have double-digit spreads in the second round. We don't want, as much as we love a 14 seed getting to the second weekend, we don't really want that because then they're going to get smoked. But all in all, really, really good, entertaining. And if you like dumb coaching, it's also entertaining.
Fire Matt LaFleur right there in the chat box. A couple of us go Bills, other things there on the bottom. And that, of course, does get us to the opening line, which we do every Monday here to start the week on Betting Weekly Live. And as we look at all of these NFL playoff games from over the weekend, it always seems to go back to one thing, Doug, at the end. And that is some of these coaches, they do make you scratch your head sometimes with some of the things that they do.
Well, I'm trying to be nice about it. I'm saying they need help, blah, blah, blah. It's too much going on in the headset, but it's really some of the stuff is unacceptable. When you're Kyle Shanahan and you're driving the entire field, you have to think that touchdown is an option. And then you get it and you don't go for 2. The difference between 4 and 5 at the end of the game does not matter. You have to go, especially with Philly already missing an extra point. The flip side, the Patriots, Vrabel, likely coach of the year. If you score a touchdown late fourth to go up 12, you don't kick the extra point to go up 13. You go for 2 to go up 14. I believe Todd Graham at Arizona State got fired. He did this in a bowl game against TCU, and TCU came back to score a touchdown and then scored another touchdown. And guess what? TCU won by 1. So 13 does not help much over 12, especially in college with that extra point distance. But this is basic stuff. It's really inexcusable. And then the end of the Bills game, there's people out there who will argue X, Y. If you give somebody a minute to go, even without timeouts in the NFL, and they've already kicked like a 70-yard field goal in the season, okay, perfect weather, they have 20% chance, 30% chance to get to overtime, right? Even with a minute to go, and your defense isn't that great. But if you take a knee on the goal line, and they have no timeouts and you can bleed it, you're like 85% to win or 90% to win. So that's like 10 versus like 30% chance for them. But that's why McDermott's a moron.
He is the one thing that I go back to, and I'm like, man, maybe this is the year. Like, they're gonna do this on the road. They're gonna get on a run, and then I go, man, he's got to match wits with Sean Payton next week. I'm like, I just don't know how that's gonna go for him, and potentially Mike Vrabel the week after that. Like, I don't know if he can match wits with these guys when it comes down to these end of the game situations. The Eagles, of course, had a crashing end to their season. Kind of baffling, honestly, Doug, the way that them offensively were so lackadaisical, I guess you could say, not just yesterday, but all year. And they get the fitting end at the end by being knocked out by the Niners.
No, I did a deep dive in this late last night. Did a YouTube show. Always check out the Doug Kezirian Sports Network, of course. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten with the Eagles. I've been texting a diehard, who's literally the guy who was, 25 years ago was calling Eagles radio, sports radio in the wee hours of the night and writing columns to the columnists in the local newspapers. I didn't realize just how bad things have gotten with their coaching staff. Kevin Patullo, their offense coordinator, was a total, buddy with Sirianni going back to their Mount Union days. No play calling experience whatsoever in his career. And he's the OC, and this offense has just been inept. All these, because remember, Kellen Moore was the OC last year, okay? Kellen Moore obviously gets plucked by the Saints to be their head coach. He brings over a couple other staff guys like quality control, QB coach, things like that. So here's Jalen Hurts with a new system, and then a guy gets promoted. I mean, you're talking defending Super Bowl champ. Your DC is Vic Fangio, right? One of the best out there. And you promote this 43, 44-year-old who's never called plays in his life at any level. And the offense regresses like all the key categories, yards per play, points per play, yards per game, points per game, all in the 20s in terms of rank of 32 teams. And last year, we're talking like top 10. Second half points, right? Last year, second in the NFL. Obviously, coaches make a lot of adjustments at halftime, right? He got undressed and exposed. We're talking like 26th in the NFL in second half points. So, look, Eagles got 2 field goals after halftime yesterday. And you're talking a random OC who's never done it. Kevin Patullo is going to match wits with Robert Saleh and that defense. No. That's where I am disappointed in myself not sniffing this out. Now, I was on the money line early in the week and it moved crazy in my direction. But I need, as Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. This Eagles team has been dysfunctional all season. The only 2 wins in like December were against the Josh Johnson-led Commanders and the Raiders or some other terrible team. So, Patullo guys got to go. And, I think the other chips will fall where they may. A.J. Brown was fine last year. It's when there's stuff that's less stressful, everything doesn't get amplified. But Patullo obviously accentuated all the stress. And, Sirianni and all these guys deserve blame for letting it happen.
It was a collective effort by the Eagles. There was probably a lot of places on the offensive side that you could look around and point to. I was just upset that A.J. Brown cost me from getting the touchdown hat trick this weekend, Doug. He was the only one who let me down because we had, of course, Christian Watson and Kincaid. We were looking for the sweep, and A.J. Brown did not get me there. So that I was a little upset about. So there you go. The opening line, NFL Wild Card Weekend. We've got one more game tonight that we are going to get to right now. Don't forget, BetRivers has a lot for you tonight for this game. Wildcard SGP Profit Boost. Get ready for Wildcard Weekend. Same game parlay profit boost. Log into your BetRivers account to receive a profit boost for a 3-leg Wildcard same game parlay. See the BetRivers app for more details. Of course, you can use that tonight with the Steelers and the Texans, the final game of Wildcard Weekend. Right now, as we sit, couple hours before kick, I have got at BetRivers, Doug, the Texans under 3 now, -2.5 with a 38.5 total.
Trusty BetRivers app and website, you can adjust the line. So I would take +3 -20. I think, low scoring game, obviously 3, so valuable. Their kicker's really good in this wind and the Heinz Field or whatever it is, Accenture, whatever. Pittsburgh, Heinz Field will always be the case. We can call this the Igloo if we want as well, because I'm going to call everything in Pittsburgh the Igloo. Look, I think it's interesting when you have this matchup because you have the old vet Rodgers, right? Who gets the team to the line of scrimmage, going to see what they're doing. It's a matching of wits, obviously an elite defense in many ways, but Rodgers has been there, done that, knows how to sort of neutralize that effect. Low scoring game expected with 38. DK Metcalf returns for Pittsburgh. That should give some at least some wiggle room to this offense that was pretty one dimensional. Remember the Browns game, their first game without Metcalf. It was one of the more pedestrian performances of Rodgers I've ever seen. Just no one open. He couldn't do anything. And it was, I give him a lot of blame. I understand that they were hands were tied without Metcalf, but I got to take the points here. This is a field goal game. Maybe the Texans cover. I just don't think they should be road favorites like this. I should be pick them. I think the Steelers got a little bit left in them. You know, we mock the Mike Tomlin voodoo, but there's something to that. I mean, it's a team game. I just got done criticizing all these dumb coaches. You know, like Saban used to say this. Belichick's kind of the similar way. Obviously, they're good friends going back, way back. But bad loses more than good wins. And if you are a dummy and you do stupid stuff and you put yourself, whether that stupid stuff could be like turnovers or going for it on your own 38 and doing a shotgun on 4th and inches and handing it off and going sideways like Kalen DeBoer did and trying to gain 5 yards instead of half a yard, that's dumb. You know, second and penalties, 3rd and 5, you know, like all that stuff. I'm going to roll with the home team +3, -20 in a low scoring game. And there's a composure to this too. Teams that have been there. Rodgers has been there. Tomlin has been there. Now, the Texans aren't complete newbies. Stroud's obviously been there, and obviously D'Amico Ryans, but I'll take the +3 here.
Well, you know, I was going to bring this up next, and I see from David down there in the chat box, Tomlin better than Ryans. And look, I don't think that D'Amico Ryans is the worst in-game coach in the NFL. I don't think he's in the top half either. I don't think he's great in-game with some of his decisions. Mike Tomlin has obviously been doing this a long time. You know the deal, 24-9-3 against the spread as a home underdog. 1-0 in those situations in the playoffs. Is there a major coaching advantage with Tomlin against Ryans tonight?
Major is a strong word. It's all relative. I'm with you, though. I think that's well said. There's just things during the season I didn't love with the Texans. That Monday night game with the Bucs in Houston, I thought he did not make an adjustment. That what the Bucs were doing, throwing everything underneath with no O-line. With all those injuries, Baker Mayfield had to get it out early, and he wasn't getting his guys up pressing, and he was just giving away all these underneath things. But there's so much more to coaching. I mean, Vrabel's probably going to win Coach of the Year. And yes, the turnaround of wins is there, but it's also just like creating a cohesive environment in the locker room. And I think Ryan should deserve a lot of credit. It's not easy to take a dormant, you know, a dumpster fire of an organization or a cellar dweller, a continued cellar dweller, and turn them into winning. And because winning, it's you got to win in the margins too, and that culture and everything like that. So he's done a nice job, and that's why Tomlin deserves more credit. You know, we mock if I never heard of the Tomlins, never had a losing record. It's like, yeah, it's not that hard. It's not that easy. So for him to do it, whatever it is, 17, 19 years, it's pretty damn impressive. So I love Tomlin in a lot of ways. And frankly, you know, we have so many situations where teams lack discipline, and that's what Zignetti's been able to implement with Indiana. I want to just acknowledge that Tomlin has that credibility and that discipline. And there was a player that got spit on or something like that in the post game. Someone's like, "What would you tell your guy?" You know, who got spit on. Basically, he's like, "Whatever you want to do, that's fine. You know, you're allowed to do whatever you want." So there's just things I like about him. But in terms of this game, I guess I'll ask you this. You know, because this stat's been going around, and I'm curious if it carries any weight to the playoffs. But Steelers have not lost at home on Monday Night Football since, what was it, 1991?
I have it here, actually. I had it queued up for you. They haven't lost a home Monday Night Football game in 34 years. 1992 was the last time they lost a home Monday night game.
They're not playing at home every Monday, so this isn't a 32-year or whatever it is. But I don't know. I think it's hard to. I think it's a postseason. I think during the regular season, you could maybe get me more involved because the crowd and the road team can kind of fold. But I don't think teams are likely to fold in the playoffs. And I just think it's a great stat, and it's not necessarily predictive. You know, as much as betting's the proliferation of betting, we forget stats can just be fun. Like little fun fact, huh? You know, they don't have to be used as a betting trend or predictive to
Right.
try to give us a winner and a get rich quick scandal or scheme. So I just think it's a funny stat, and you know, we'll see if it continues.
Of the other two that I had earmarked for you tonight in terms of that is the Texans have never won a road playoff game as a franchise. Never. They have never won. They're 0-6 in those spots. And this one involves the total. Obviously, 38 we're dealing with here at Bet Rivers this evening. Since 2010, overs are 9-3 in playoff games with the total under 40. It's gone over 9 of the 12 times that the total's been under 40 in these playoff games. I mean, I could see a path to it tonight, but I don't know. This game feels like I said this to you about Chargers Patriots on Friday when we talked about it. Like the game feels like 20-17, 17-13. Like it feels like it's in that area.
Well, it did open up last week for the Steelers in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Their defense isn't, you know, this isn't Troy Polamalu's Steelers and he's flying around. Like they leave a little bit to be desired. This is not that elite of a defense. Now the Texans pass rush is for sure. I'm not in a rush. If I were to play this, I would play first half under. I typically do that because I think games open up. I think both coaches are going to be conservative in nature. We know Tomlin is. And I think they're going to want to lean on their strongest unit. Now, Houston's strongest unit's definitely its defense. Not entirely sure about Pittsburgh, although their offense can really look, you know, taste as bad as spoiled milk. But I would lean first half under, if anything. But these field goal kickers are really good. Don't sleep on them to kind of contribute to an over.
19.5 is that first half number, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're interested, 19.5 for that. All right, so let's get into some props then. And I'll open the props by something that I was thinking of, and I'll do it now, and then you can get into some quarterbacks and things like that because it involves defense. I hardly ever play defense props. Not going to lie to you. It's not something that I usually go to the window with. But I feel like these defenses are so good and these pass rushers are so good. Will Anderson, minus 107 for a sack. Danielle Hunter, plus 104 for a sack. I feel like one of them will have a sack at minimum. Watts, plus 118.
Defensive stats are different.
And it's a half. You just need a half, over at least a half.
I know. I just wonder if – so what do we got, like 0.3 for an over-under here?
Yeah, so it's 0.5. So if they get the half a sack, it cashes.
So it's 0.5 plus. So it's over 0.549, huh?
Yeah.
So it's over 0.49. We're really getting technical.
Yes.
I'd have to look at playoff games all weekend. I know the Chargers Patriots had some sacks. I know they did, but we're going to get into my props. But yeah, I have something I guess correlated to that, but I'm a little gun shy on sack props for sure.
Let's talk about, because I know you have in here the quarterback rushing props, and you're gonna talk about that. And this was something you mentioned on Friday, and we saw a couple guys get over their numbers, and you did see some quarterbacks obviously run a little bit more than we were used to seeing.
So anytime there is a significant change to something, maybe that's not the best way to set it up. So the playoffs are different than the regular season, right? But you calculate playoff stats based on regular season stats. So, I think I talked about this with bowl games and really playoff games and the props. You know, when you have these teams that are 11-1 in conference and, like Ohio State's props, like Julian Sands' props are really hard to calculate and make for the playoff game when they truck every team and he's sitting in the fourth quarter. Like his stats over 4 quarters, not really projectionable, because they are burying Purdue, UCLA, Maryland, all these punching bags. So you don't really know how to calculate if it's what's expected to be a close game, right, in the playoff. So with the NFL, quarterbacks typically are drilled into their head to throw the ball away, unless you're Josh Allen, unless you're Jackson Dart, and some others. But for the most part, these guys are encouraged to throw the ball away. Maybe they'll do a QB sneak. Sometimes they'll tuck it and run on third down. So the odds makers have to use game stats from the regular season and apply it to playoff games, right? but certain things change in the playoffs. One of which is the quarterback mindset when it comes to running the ball, tucking it and running, throwing the ball away. And they're just going to fight for extra yards. That's just all hands on deck. The stakes are higher. You just do what you have to. You're still going to slide, as we saw with Herbert and some others, but they're more inclined to run and do what it takes to advance in the postseason. So I don't think the regular season numbers are apples to apples. And I don't think the odds makers, I mean, I think they know that, but I don't think they adjust enough. So a lot of these rushing yards props have gone under or over, I should say. Friday, I talked about Trevor Lawrence. I talked about Brock Purdy, both. I mean, we're talking diving head first for every little yard, and that matters. All these quarterbacks were flying forward. Caleb Williams in the first half, I think, slid. Second half on one of the big drives, he dove head first on first down. So he could have slid it like 8 yards, but he dove for 11. Things like that. So I think Stroud is going to run as well. If you can get a Rodgers prop, if maybe Bet Rivers adds that, and I would go over as well, because if he can get to the corner, because last week he couldn't get to the corner and he had to run out of bounds, but he was trying to get to the corner because last week was essentially a playoff game. Winning, you're in. Losing, you're out. So I think you just have to bet these over blindly.
Blind bets for the overs on there. You mentioned Rodgers as well. I know you have the Rodgers. You got a couple. See, this is what I'm looking for here, Doug. Now let's get juicy. You got a couple bombs here for maybe first and last touchdown.
Well, if you're going to do it right, right? Aaron Rodgers, 90-1 to score the first touchdown. Same odds for the last touchdown. I'd break it up. You're looking at Rodgers to tuck it and run. So I'm thinking 3rd and goal from the 5, flush from the pocket. Everyone's chasing around Freiermuth and Metcalf, jump ball, and also Thielen. He can tuck it and run. He's not fast, but it's 90-1. So I'd break it up half and half to, first and last, so you can get 45-1 on either. I mean, we get all the math here. I know we're not doing economics degrees here, but if you have a bet on the last touchdown, 90-1, and the bet on the first half, it's both units on 45-1 because, but you could also cash both too. So keep that in mind. So it's not either or. But I would think no one would want to live with themselves if they had one and the other one cashed. So that's why you have to bet both.
And you never know. It could be like Hunter Henry last night and you cash both first and last.
Oh, well done. I saw some 450-1, news about no touchdown in last night's game, which, it didn't come till the second half. So
no, it did not.
A lot of goal line stands. Each team, I think, had stone on the 2.
I am going to play. I like Dalton Schultz tonight. I think the number's a little light at 42.5. He's been there for Stroud. He finished in the top 5 among all tight ends in yards and catches this year. Steelers weren't great against the tight end. So I really like this Dalton Schultz over 42.5 tonight. So that's going to be on my card. I like touchdowns, Doug. I don't know if I can get as out there as you did. I'm going to play the Rodgers, by the way, just for funsies now. I have to. But I kind of like Jaylen Warren at plus 210 anytime, honestly. If the Steelers are going to score tonight, I feel it's a smash by Warren down low inside the 5. Although what else I was thinking about? They ran that Connor Hayward play at the goal line a couple times against the Ravens last week. 7-1. It's gone down. It was like 12 last week. Now it's 7 for Hayward.
Hey, so they're catching on to us.
Yeah.
Catching. What do you make of Thielen's chances here? I mean, he's 40-1.
I believe that the Steelers are one of these teams that it is a complete roulette. You could hit any guy for an anytime touchdown, I feel like. I mean, first is obviously a little bit tougher, and we know that for everybody. But I mean, would it stun me if Thielen caught a touchdown, or if Ben Skoranek caught a touchdown tonight, or Roman Wilson caught a touchdown tonight? I think with the Steelers, Doug, anything's possible. Any of those guys could catch one.
That's kind of how I operate. Now, I think this weekend they were pretty kind of expected people, Yeah. They weren't some like total third string tight ends and stuff like that. So you could argue, hey, it's going to come out at some point. I just think you have to expect the unexpected. These defenses, my thought process is this: these defenses scout these teams all hands on deck this week, right? They've gone through every game. They know their high school coaches, everything. And so tendencies, things like that. I would say who does when they put Rodgers in the back, way back, single back, and they do the
Yeah.
QB sneak? Is it Fryermuth?
No, it's Connor Hayward. Connor Hayward's the guy that gets
Yeah,
that in those.
that's a pretty good angle there for you.
Yeah, I think that, and like I said, and maybe that's not a bad first and last also at 25-1. Maybe that's not a bad one either.
Because remember, the Super Bowl always does the longest touchdown of the game over or under 1.5. So if it's under 1.5, I mean, you can get
you get Connor Hayward in there, and this should be a fun one tonight with the Steelers and the Texans. Ooh, and we got one more for you, a little special at Bet Rivers, discount double check. Aaron Rodgers to record 2 passing touchdowns. This is for the game. Boosted from plus 188 to plus 220 for 2 passing touchdowns for Rodgers tonight.
But look, I think he's going to get complete control at the line of scrimmage. And he's going to want to see what they're in. And I think Brady was breaking this down a little bit. Olsen's done it too. When they go in motion, then the quarterback immediately knows if it's zone or pass. I mean, this is why Phillip Rivers was able to kind of come off the couch and play. And Rodgers is going to be kind of in his element at the line of scrimmage. And I think you can get that way. Now, they can rush the ball really well, right? They had the 200-plus yards. What was it, against the Lions?
Yeah.
Or a game like that, the Bills maybe. I can't remember. But, there's a chance they just grind and just bury it, bury Houston on the ground. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be distributing the ball, getting it out early and often.
Yeah, that was a Lion game where they ripped the Lions in half there at Ford Field with all those rushing yards. There you go.
Yeah, so the boost is from, just so people understand, it's plus 188. So you get boosted to 220. So that's a nice 32 cents.
That is a nice one. And you never know. Could bust out in the fourth quarter like a lot of these games have, like the Steeler-Raven game did last week. Crazy things have happened in these playoff games so far. All right, so that will finish Wild Card Weekend this evening. Of course, the divisional round, we will be talking about it all week here on Betting Weekly Live. I'll give you the futures update now that we know we're down to 9 teams that are left, and the Seahawks are the top of the big board at Bet Rivers at plus 280. The Rams are plus 310. Then the Bills at 550, Patriots 650, Broncos 7, Doug.
Oh, this is interesting. I was looking at the Seahawks because I do think they're going to the Super Bowl. I just think the Rams zigzagging across the country will eventually take its toll. And we talk about it all the time. Recreational bettors have to understand in the NFL more than any other sport, but all sports, you just got to forget what you last saw and just assume. You can't assume what just happened is going to happen again. So everyone knows that the Rams went to Seattle, dominated, led by 16, a miracle comeback. So the Rams must be that much better than the Seahawks, even in Seattle. No, it's just that game played out that way. Who knows what happens in the next time if these two teams advance to next week. I think Seattle's a really good defense. We saw what Baltimore's defense looked like without McDonald. This is a well-coached team. I think Darnold's better than he's getting credit for. Now, is that a little bit of a leap of faith? Sure, but I think that overtime drive where he threw that seed on the sideline, I think unlocked a lot of his, stench. It's kind of like when you're a golfer. Remember Dustin Johnson? I believe it was the U.S. Open, 3-jacked from like 6 feet to blow it. It was like an uphill thing. I think it was Whistling Straits or one of those.
Yeah.
And when he just completely unraveled, and then the next time he just finished off a lead and just stepped on the gas, and he just kind of got out of his funk by having that 3-jack on the green on 18. So I think Darnold's like exercised the demons. I really do. And he's not asked to do everything. And just the continuity on off, and there's just everything right. Now, I think the Rams will have something to say about it. I don't think the Bears are going to Seattle and winning, but you know what? I haven't counted. Everyone's losing their shirts and their mortgages on this Bears team, just expecting that finally to catch up with them. So I have not gone broke betting against the Bears, thank God. So these futures are interesting. I just think it remains wide open. So we got to just keep that in mind. So maybe the long shots have value still. Who knows?
That was, of course, that was Pebble Beach, where Dustin Johnson completely blew up and
Okay.
opened the door for Justin Spieth to come through the door and win that one there. I'm ready. By the way, golf's back this week, Doug, so I'm very excited. That's why I have all my golf stuff. I'm ready to go. The ears are up.
Oh.
I'm excited for the Sony Open out in Hawaii. Teeing off on Thursday, and for Brooks Koepka to be back in the PGA. Man, they let the door open for him. It's only going to cost him a couple bucks to get there.
So you can't go home again.
Who says it's right? Who says you can't go home again? This is also a week. I wanted to ask you about this before we move on in terms of futures. This is like my favorite week for the last chance to kind of look at some of these exactas. Like, I don't know how much you like these things, Doug, these Super Bowl exactas where you have one team to beat the other. And you still get a lot of these prices in the 14, 15, 20, 25, 30 to 1 range, because like Seattle's plus 280 to win, but Seattle to beat the Pats is 10 to 1. Seattle to beat the Bills is 12 to 1. Do you like dabbling in these exactas? Because I feel like this is like the last really good week to do it with these 8 teams left.
It's one of the markets I wish I've dabbled in more. I know a really sharp pro bettor who's got tickets. He's got the Rams over it's like things like that.
Yeah.
It's a way to get involved in futures. Last year, he had the Chiefs over the Eagles. He did not bet the Eagles over the Chiefs. Now he ended up, playing the hedge and everything. But I think Josh Allen could get there. If you believe in conspiracy theories, I think the NFL would love the Bills to get to the Super Bowl. I don't think they want the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. I think the Patriots would be okay. They'd be the villain just because of the organization. But I think Patriots and Bills are who they would prefer, to say the least. NFC is interesting. I think they'd want the Rams if they had their druthers. Now that the Eagles are eliminated, Bears would be fun for them. I think they're kind of over the Niners. I really do. So I think Rams or Seahawks would be there too. So maybe like a Seahawks over the Bills. Let's call it. Five falls in Buffalo.
No, we don't. We want them to finally. No, we want the happy ending, Doug. We don't want that. And I will take any conspiracy theorist as long as it gets them there. I'll be just fine with that. And you can tell me it's a conspiracy theory all you want. As long as they're there, I'm good.
Well, maybe like LeBron brought out the Griffies on the court in the opener with the Sun thing. Maybe the Bills can have LeBron be there just to celebrate winning your conference so many times.
Why not? You know what? Just give me a chance in the game, Doug. Give me a chance. I do have a couple Bill Ram ones for those exactas. If we could somehow get to the end.
Yeah, it'd be a coaching mismatch, but yeah.
It would be a coaching mismatch, but I think the networks would. Who's got an NBC this year? I'm sure they'd love Stafford and Allen. That would be a good one for them if they were ever.
Can we get some more no-look passes and just the analysts just going bananas and just loving it?
All right, NFL final wildcard game tonight. All week divisional round here on Betting Weekly Live. We do have NBA this evening. 6 games in the association. We'll start with Peacock. They've got the game tonight with the Celtics and the Pacers in Indiana. Celtics minus 5.5, 225.5 is the total.
Well, this is a really interesting game. Jaylen Brown is doubtful, and I think the point spread indicates that. So no Brown. Sam Hauser, questionable, so I'm not expecting them to go. And this is a really interesting. I did a deep dive in this because I think it's a really fun betting opportunity. So the Celtics have played 2 games this year without Jaylen Brown, and each box score is interesting because of the opponent. They played the Wizards, and this is the Wizards before they're now like championship contenders now because they keep winning every other game. They scored 146 without Jaylen Brown in that game. That's because the Wizards defense extraordinaire. And then the next game they played the Raptors, who I think kind of meet the profile of the Pacers a lot more. And it was a stone under. The defense held Toronto under 100 points. And Boston was interesting. So the biggest takeaway in that game was that the defense was pretty good and better than you think. So I like the Pacers team total under just because this team's won back-to-back games. I think they're due for some regression. Their offense isn't that great. But also Pritchard and White, you think they're going to bomb a bunch of threes. And they did against the Wizards, but against the Raptors, who matched the profile Pacers and Raptors are like top 4 in the NBA in opponent 3-point percentage allowed. Okay. So they actually defend the three really well. It's closer to 30.6 as opposed to like 35%. So I'm not doing Derek White and Pritchard threes over. I'm doing their assists over. So I like Pacers team total under.
Okay.
But I also like the assist. Pritchard, you can get plus 160 at 8 or more, double. So rebounds or assists, plus 420 with points. Excuse me. Now it's up to 550. So that's really attractive. But I think my favorite play in this game is Derek White, 6+ assists, so over 5.5, and also 3+ made threes. You only need 3. I mean, he's probably going to have 4 or 5, but just give me 3. I think it's a big Derek White game. Over his 35+ PRA is also minus 167. That's playable. But this Derek White SGP is looking like it's going to be my best bet.
Man, for what looks like a tough game, we got a lot of action on it, Doug. We're ready to roll with this Celtic Pacer game. We've got a lot of spicy stuff.
Well, Rick Carlisle, the former Celtic, against Boston. It's a lot of good angles here.
The one thing I really love is, like you say, the Pacers have been awful all year, and they've actually won 2 games in a row. So there's a good chance for some regression tonight out of them.
Yeah, and they're not trying to win. I mean, excuse me, let me rephrase that. They don't really want to win, I guess is a better way to put it.
That's the better way to go about it. The Lakers are in Sacramento against the Kings tonight. We have the Lakers right now minus 9.5 at Bet Rivers, 230 flat the total in this one.
I got to go with the Lakers here. This should be a big win. They've lost 2 or 3 in a row, and the Kings won last night, and they celebrated like they won the NBA championship. But the Houston Rockets are in the midst of a 5-game stretch, the worst 3-point shooting percentage over 5 games in NBA history. I mean, we're talking Kevin Durant, Reed Shepherd. But then just clank after clank. First half, this never happens in the NBA. First half went under by about 20 points. Second half went under. That never happens. Usually it's the opposite. So it's an outlier performance. Now the Kings won and they were 14-point dogs. So it's not like, you could have had some middle ground there. They could have lost by 7 or so. I just think the Lakers smack them. I don't think the Kings are good enough to win back-to-back games. And I think the Lakers want to blow them out. And I think the Lakers are going to play hard after 2 or 3 losses. Now, you can't assume anything in the NBA. These guys don't really care, but sometimes they do. I think it's a bounce back spot. DeRozan's a bucket. I will give him that. As much as he's sort of a punchline in the long twos in this day and age, he's a bucket. Levine can get some. Westbrook always surprises when he makes it, but he's also left wide open. They have a couple guys on the glass who energy, and then Malik Monk off the bench. Lakers should destroy him. Luka should have like 50 tonight.
Lakers minus 9.5 at the Kings this evening. Your Jazz coming off getting smashed by my Hornets on Saturday night. They beat them by what, 55? I think they beat them by in that game. Now the Jazz go to Cleveland where they'll see the Cavaliers. Cavs minus 12.5, 250. Whoa, look at that total.
Wow. Did you have plus 54.5 for the Jazz in the last game? Because you lost if you did.
I didn't. No, I didn't have it.
What an embarrassing performance at home, mind you. Yeah. And the Hornets, they did not play the 96 Bulls, in case you were wondering. They did not play the 96 Bulls. Although Jordan might have pushed off if they did. So with the Jazz, Markkanen did not play. He's going to play tonight. They're at full strength, although I think Bailey's still hurt, but it's really interesting. I mean, they had 5 22-year-olds, or excuse me, 5 guys 22 or less or younger starting. So do they have the same sort of professionalism? And I think they bounce back. So I got to play first quarter in this game. I'd play some 1st to 10 props, not for a lot of money, but you just have to think you have an edge here in the first quarter plus 4.5, right? Like they just lost by 55 points. Cody Williams. If I'm an odds maker, I'd have an over-under on his plus-minus. He had did you know what the worst plus-minus is for anybody in the history of the NBA? I didn't know this. I didn't think to look it up. Cody Williams, the younger brother of the All-Star for the Thunder, Jalen Williams, minus 60 in that game.
That's
NBA
not,
record.
it's not easy to do. It just isn't. Like that's not easy to achieve. What Cody did there the other night. Wow, minus
That
60.
is something. I would think it'd be like Ja Morant or someone like that.
Ja, your boy. Elsewhere.
No pun intended, catching strays.
Catching strays. The Sixers are 3.5-point favorites in Toronto against the Raptors. Low total at 219.5 tonight with these two.
Yeah, I don't know about this my Raptors. I go back and forth with this team. I love their coach. He's crazy. He cares, which is all you want, for the most part when you're betting like over 30 wins and stuff like that. I'll tell you what. I love their coach, and I loved this team last year. I don't like Brandon Ingram. I don't think he's the right fit. I don't like those types of players. He's way overpaid, not good. I like teams that have guys who are, like the Grizzlies, Cam Spencer, Coward, Jalen Wells. Like those are the guys you want. I don't want big name, fake good players that just make too much money, that don't balance out, your salary cap well. So at some point, the Sixers got to get things figured out. It's always tough going to the sixth, though, on the road. It's a pass for me. But I'm thinking over two, if anything.
Nets are in Dallas against the Mavs. Nets catching 4.5. Another low total, 219.5. Seeing some low totals tonight.
Yeah, I actually like the under in this game. So the Mavs coming back from a long road trip and first game home. So we know that typically lends itself to the under. The Nets have been a little better. They're kind of in the midst of a long run. I think they've won a couple in a row. I think the defense cranks up. The problem is AD's out, right? We know about the injury. He's such a big factor for the defense, but he's also gets buckets. I think Cooper Flagg's gonna have a big game. He's had a couple stinkers lately. I don't know if he's hitting the rookie wall because remember, you remember the All-Star break is a couple weeks from now or a few weeks from now, and that's well past the midpoint. So this is kind of where they hit their wall, perhaps. I don't want any part of the Mavs. I do think Flagg goes off a little bit. Remember, he was on that run where like 11 straight games over PRA. I think he might get back on it tonight.
And finally, my Hornets, off that big 55-point win in Utah, now go to Los Angeles to the Intuit Dome where they'll see the Clippers. Clippers -5, 223.5. Bizarre scheduling note here. The Clippers just spent what, Doug? Over a week on the East Coast again. They played the Knicks, the Nets. They finished in Detroit the other night. They come home to play 2 games, and then they go back to the East Coast to see Toronto, Washington. Very weird you see 2 long East Coast trips like that so close together.
Yeah, usually it's always for the Grammys and stuff, but that's no longer where they play, right? They play at the Intuit Dome, which is the old Forum, which is in Inglewood, which I don't think Hollywood's going to be hanging out there.
No.
So this is interesting. The Clippers have been they were down double digits all game to the Pistons and came back and won. That's when I was starting to think, hey, my 50-1 ticket to win the Pacific Division may not be dead, even though the Suns all of a sudden are like a combination of the 96 Bulls and then Hoosiers effort. I lean Clippers here, but this Hornets team at full strength is pretty darn good. Brandon Miller's excellent. Knapple's awesome. LaMelo, he was on the bench, and then now he's starting, so I'm all over the place with him, but he's really effective, and I'm not the biggest Bridges guy, but as your 4th best player, he's pretty good. But the Clippers also are the Clippers, and they kind of elite when Kawhi and Harden are rolling, so it's a pass for me. Hornets also a big win, hanging out in LA all weekend. LaMelo back in his hometown. Dougie Buckets will pass on that game, I think.
Give me my Hornets tonight, plus the 5
Okay.
against the Clippers. I'm going with them. I'm taking my Hornets this evening, late night at the Dome. Catch a sleepy Clipper team. Told you guys the Grizzlies coach from Finland stinks. They blew that OKC game, had a 20-point lead, but they covered, right? Didn't they win? They covered the game, didn't they?
Did cover.
That's what matters at the end of the day, Doug. They covered.
It does.
It is what that is. SFA, we'll get there in a moment, Henry, with the SFA and the incarnate word. We're gonna close things out with that big college basketball slate tonight. There you go, 6 games. in the NBA for us this evening. Of course, if you like what you see here on Betting Weekly Live, as you should, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube and check out all of our other shows, including Betting Weekly WTA. Join Nigel Seeley and Tim Dennis as they share their best bets for round ones at both WTA Hobart and Adelaide. The show is off to a fire start, and I got to admit, I see all the posts on social media. The tennis guys have been on fire. Tim hitting outright winners at WTA Brisbane and Auckland last week, so they have been smoking hot. Nigel and Tim got your Betting Weekly WTA here on the channel. All right, on to the ice here. A lot of games for a Monday night. 9 NHL games this evening. Pretty decent slate here. Only game on TV, national TV, NHL Network has the Kraken and the Rangers. Why are the Rangers minus 148 at home? They are, Doug. Let's give you our weekly update here on the Rangers at home this year. They are now 5-11-4 at the Garden. They've lost 3 in a row overall, and the Kraken have actually been playing well recently. I mean, it's Kraken or nothing for me here.
I know. They got a back-to-back with the second game being in Boston later this week, and you want to unload on the Bees, but I'm not so fast. So my thing here is, is this road home record thing like an anomaly? Have we ever seen teams like? Now we talked on Friday about other teams that were good on the road and stuff. But, looking at last year's stats, there's a couple teams that were like a little better at away from home than at home. But, this is pretty outlier-ish. So I think there's got to be some regression coming. And thus, that's my way of answering your question of why the Rangers are minus 148.
Minus 148 tonight. Look out with that.
Over the test of time, it's usually better to be at home. So I think the odds makers are going to be using those data points to crystallize their handicapping.
Under the total, Diego says in the Ranger game, look, it's 5.5. Both teams are under teams. They've been under teams all year, but as we've discussed a lot in today's NHL, I don't really want to sweat out under 5.5. I really don't want to.
Diego Sanchez likes it. I do not.
He likes it.
So
I don't want to sweat out. There's just too many things now. You get these 3-1 games where a team pulls their goalie with 4.5 minutes left, and they give up 2 empty net goals. Like, it's just, there's just too much now to try to chase unders at 5 and 6.5. Maybe you talk me into some games at that, but 5.5, it's super hard to go after those. Elsewhere tonight, 2 first-place teams, Carolina and Detroit, against the Red Wings, and both teams are playing well too. Carolina's won 4 in a row. The Red Wings have won 6 in a row. So a couple of hot teams, and the Red Wings are dogs at home against this Carolina team. That's a really good one this evening. How about the Buffalo Sabres, who have now won 13 of their last 14, and they have the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs in their building tonight, and you are getting the Panthers at even money against the Sabres in Buffalo, total of flat 6. I know that we've discussed this a lot, stepping in front of these streaks when teams are playing really well. I have a feeling that the Panthers, the Sabres will have the Panthers' attention tonight, I should say. I feel like in Buffalo, how well they've been playing.
I thought the Rockets would show up last night, having lost back-to-back games to Portland, and they sucked from the start. So
that's very true.
Now, NBA players get paid more.
Also very true.
The line of caring is usually synonymous and parallel with that.
The other weird.
I look at the Sabres here. This Panthers team's been a little bit of cruise control.
I was going to say that to you too. Like I kind of said to you a couple weeks ago, like, this is where they have to put the foot on the gas because they don't have February this year. There's really no games in the month of February. So you kind of got to put the foot down a little bit earlier this year. And they haven't really seemed to do it yet. Now everyone's still alive in the Eastern Conference. It's so tight, but they're second to last in the Atlantic right now. They got 49
points.
Don't
you think this Olympic break's kind of throwing off their, internal timeline, their biological clock, if you will?
It's a good question. And don't know if Marchand's
and sort of skewing this final playoff push till after the All-Star or the Olympic break.
It's possible, and the thing that will be okay with them for that, Doug, is it's so tight. There's nobody pulling away in the East. So it's not like they're going to be 8 or 10 points back of a playoff spot after the Olympic break. They are going to be within striking distance. Pretty much everyone is. Now, some teams might fall off. Like, I mean, Ottawa might be due to fall off the way that they're going right now and they're playing. But most teams should be in the mix here. Tampa's won 9 in a row, and they're in Philly tonight against the Flyers. So
I'm sure the Flyers fans will be pleasant after the Eagles game yesterday.
Man. I think you're not kidding. That's a tough scene down in Philly. They get the Flyers and the Sixers on the road tonight. They got the Flyers at home. They can go drink.
I don't want to lay $1.55.
No,
but I don't think I want any piece of Philly.
We've got 2 of the best over teams in Montreal tonight. Let's go. Tee it high and let it fly.
Do I smell a best bet?
Vancouver and Montreal over 6.5 -103. Canadians are a big favorite tonight. They've been playing pretty good hockey too. Canucks are on a very long road trip. We know that they like to score and they like to give them up. So I don't know if it's the best bet tonight, Doug, but I do like the over in Montreal and Vancouver.
Okay. I mean, it's not 6, 6.5.
6.5 is a little tougher, but you know what? We also remember we have the slider too. We do have the slider if you wanted to go to 6.
I'm gonna have a plus money best bet, so I can give you some of my juice if you want.
Okay, well, I might be taking a money line in the hockey also, so we have to see where we go here. The Devils are in Minnesota against the Wild, second night of a back-to-back for them. They lost in Winnipeg last night, the Devils, and now they're going to play the Wild as they cross the border. Wild are a heavy favorite there, and this is the Wild, I believe, first game back after a very long road trip as well. Oh, no, they played the Islanders Saturday night and lost the Wild to start.
Devils have lost 4 straight, wrapping up a road trip here.
Yes, they have not played well, the Devils. I remember what I played Thursday or Friday after they lost 9-0, thinking that they would get out of it.
For you.
Yeah, it didn't go well. That did not go well. They got smashed.
We almost got to the 10-minute mark of no goal, but it was like 8:30.
It was right on the number there. Oilers are in Chicago against the Blackhawks. You have that. Interesting game tonight. Toronto in Colorado against the Avalanche. Toronto has actually shown a pulse lately, recently. They have now won, I believe it's 3 in a row, and they've won 7 out of 10. And they are just right 1 point back of the playoffs now. They're plus 195. Avalanche are starting this kid in goal tonight because they've like I said, the injury bug has hit Colorado a lot frequently. And they have a kid who's only making his 2nd or 3rd start, but he's won those other starts for Colorado.
They've outscored their opponents by 10 combined over the last 2 games.
Colorado,
just 2
10. They've been smoking teams. So I don't think it really matters. This Trent Miner is playing goal for Colorado tonight. Who? He is 1-0-2 with a 1.39. So even the 3 games he's played, he's given up less than 2 goals a game. So I don't think we could be worried about that. Avalanche smoking everybody right now. That's kind of it's even money on the puck line for them against Toronto.
I'm not getting involved with the let me put it this way. I'm not jumping in front of the Avalanche anytime soon.
No. I will. I'll jump in front of the Kings, though, in the last game of the night. Just after 10 o'clock East in LA, we have the Stars in town. Stars minus 124. Kings, as we know, they're like the Rangers for whatever reason. They don't win at home. And we have the Stars coming in, second best team in hockey. They have been a little sloppy lately, to be honest. They've been they're only about 500 in their last 10. But they always beat they play very well against the Kings. I will take the Stars tonight in LA at minus 124 against them. Really like that.
No pushback out of me.
There it is for you. 9 games in the NHL this evening for us to get involved with. All right, we had a college basketball question in there before. And before we get to the best bets in the Daily Double, I will at least tell you, Doug, that the college basketball slate tonight is tough. There's a lot of MEAC games.
HBCUs or something like that.
There's like Summit games. There's Nichols, McNeese, Incarnate Word, Stephen F. Austin. Navy is playing American in the Patriot. If that gets you excited. But there is not a lot to chew on Monday night. But it was a hell of a weekend. tons of great games this weekend.
Was. And, it just really reinforced how you just got to be careful betting a lot of money, in all sports. But how does a Michigan team that dismantled, certain teams go lose to Wisconsin at home at Chrysler Arena? You can't even get away with money line parlays, although that'd be kind of silly. They were 19-point favorites, but it's really crazy sports. It's the best reality show there ever was. And you just got to be really careful and just understand that certain things are not projectionable. You don't know what's going on sometimes in these athletes' lives, coaches' lives, referees' lives. I mean, that's why they play the game. So this was a big reminder this weekend. Now, with that being said, Air Force lost by 43. And they're back on the hardwood tomorrow. So that's something to keep an eye on. And, some things are predictable. So just keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. And since there really aren't any games, I will let you know the Wooden Award. Give you a little update on that because we have a minus money for the Wooden Award here. And Boozer is now crossed that number, minus 230. But it's not like he's that. I mean, DeBance is right there with him. I wouldn't say that's far from over, Doug, that Wooden Award odds.
Yeah, so I think that's the conversation we have to have, right? Historically, has team performance mattered? Duke's obviously pretty solid. Not that BYU is any slouch. Both are freshmen. It's not like one's a third-year senior and the other guy's a rare one and done or something. Does anyone get sort of if Braden Smith and Purdue win the Big Ten, does he get some consideration? Darren Peterson, if he starts playing games regularly, does he make a late surge given the platform and image and everything of Kansas? I just thought it'd be worth a discussion. Now, I talk about it all the time. The Heisman is so fickle, right? Everyone wants to hold off until November to they weight those November's games so much. So I don't think the Wooden Award's like that. I mean, I'm not laying 230, but I just wanted to bring it up.
There you go. Of course, tomorrow night we'll get back kind of to the regular with college hoops. There's a bunch of games on Tuesday night: Virginia, Louisville, UConn, Seton Hall, Indiana, Michigan State. Good game. Oregon, Nebraska. So we'll do all of that tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. I will hold tomorrow, since we have a week, Doug, till the college football championship game. We will do a little bit of discussion on that tomorrow in terms of some early bets and some of the things that people are looking back. So we'll get that in on Tuesday's show. Let's get to the best bets and the Daily Double for tonight. I am going to go to the Texans and the Steelers, Doug. I know I sounded like I was going to go hockey. There was a couple things I was there with, but this is the thing I liked the most when I woke up this morning, so I'm going to go with that. Dalton Schultz over the 42.5 receiving yards for the Texans tonight. I expect Stroud. It's going to be a tight, close game. That's kind of his blanket. Obviously, Collins is a big play guy, but he goes to Schultz a lot. Think it'll be there for him. I'm going over 42.5.
I like it, though. You've been really solid on these props. I thought for a second maybe you go a touchdown prop, just given how hot you are. And that I'm going to go back to my same game parlay. I'm not going to include the Celtics to win. I think that's a early sort of. I think it's a first sort of instinct with a lot of people. I don't want to do that. I want to do Derek White threes and assists, a little bit lower thresholds. So that's why I'm getting plus 1.8, but you need both. I think he'll make some threes. Indiana, though, among the best teams in terms of percentage allowed or opponent percentage allowed from downtown. But I think White shoots so far behind the arc, and Pritchard's going to be a gunner. But the six plus assists should be easy for him. I think that ball is going to be popping in that Boston offense without Jaylen Brown. I like me some plus 108 as well.
So there you go. Plus 108 for White, 6 assists, 3 threes, along with Dalton Schultz over the 42.5 receiving yards. Put it all together, Doug. Plus 293 for us tonight. Now we're going. This is one of the higher ones I think we've had, period, since we've done it. Plus 293. The Daily Double for Betting Weekly Live on a Monday night. let's start the week off right here on Betting Weekly Studios. Doug, tremendous job. As always, we are back tomorrow. As we said, we'll know all the matchups for the divisional round, and we'll actually know the times by then too. Nobody wants that Texan game, so they're all waiting to see who wins before the networks agree to what games they're going to take this weekend. So we'll have all of that. Tons of college basketball, NBA, NHL. We'll look at that early lines of that Miami-Indiana game, of course, for Monday as well. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy all the games. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific on Betting Weekly Live.